What's up YouTube, this is 17 Jenkins, and I'm back with another video regarding Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now I normally do not do anything relating to Five Nights at Freddy's, any of the games period, because for one, it terrifies me, and two, I'm not like a huge fan, and I don't want to be one of those YouTube channels that's like, oh, all he does is Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. I really don't, but with the advent of the third game, there are a lot of open ends to the story and to the lore of the game, and a lot of possibilities that I think could happen in this coming game. And I have some fan theories for you guys, some ideas of what I think could happen, who's coming back, who's not coming back, and stuff like that. And so I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts. Definitely, if you guys have anything to share, leave your comments down in the section. There we go. Leave your comments down in the section below. Definitely be sure to share your ideas, because with all the fans and with all the possible outcomes for this new game storyline, there's no telling what Scott could come up with and what. Maybe he'd be influenced by the fan some. I don't know. Probably not. He probably has this all planned out in his mind. Guy's a genius. I mean, seriously. 3 completely different games, and this game's going to look absolutely horrifying when it finally comes out. But anyway, enough rambling. I want to really get to the discussion. Really want to start with what I think is going to happen, or can happen, in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. And I'm going to be looking back and forth kind of to you guys, and then look to my computer screen, because I do have all this written down on a WordPad file, because there ain't no way I'm going to remember all this stuff from memory. And so I want to go ahead and write it down. So I'll try and not read verbatim, but most of it I've written in complete sentences for the most part. First and foremost, I really think that Fredbear's Fright, the haunted attraction, the new scene, I mean not the new scene, the new setting of the new game for Five Nights at Freddy's 3, will probably very likely take place at the old restaurant, the one from Five Nights at Freddy's, or it could very well take at the old Fredbear's Family Diner. It could be the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria from the first game, or the Fredbear's Family Diner from before Five Nights at Freddy's even came into existence. It could also be that this attraction is actually a near-perfect replica of the original Fredbear's Family Diner. Goodness, I can't talk. Or Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. So this might not even be the actual location. It might just be a complete setup, and might just be a mock attraction that looks exactly like, I mean, we've seen this happen with like the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, that looks just like Hogwarts pretty much, and stuff like that, which is really cool, by the way. If you haven't gone to Universal Studios, definitely check that out. It's awesome, and I liked it before I even knew what Harry Potter was. But really, I mean, we see this in amusement parks all the time, where it's pretty much, I mean, like Disney World, Epcot, I mean, they take parts of like Norway and France and Mexico and all this, and basically implant it into Disney World. And so really, to reconstruct an entire restaurant on the site of an amusement park would not be too insane. And so that's actually my theory, that this is actually an attraction at an amusement park. So could that mean that we have access to an entire amusement park for this game, where we find various areas to hide and check for the animatronic or animatronics? I'll get to that in a minute. And with all these open corridors, obviously in the trailer there are big hallways. The new system of checking the monitors, which is not just pull up the screen, put on the head. They've added 3 things. I mean, there's 3 things now. I mean, before it was just check the monitor. Second game, check the monitor, flashlight, and the head. So now there's 3 other things to worry about that you have to keep the animatronic at bay with. And so with all these new things in place, could we actually be allowed to run from the villain? The thing that has made Five Nights at Freddy's completely different from other games like Slender and Amnesia, where you run from the enemies like Slender Man and the Amnesia Monster. I don't know what it's called. But this is really what sets apart Five Nights at Freddy's from any other horror game, because it's that constant fight or flight response, where you either sit there and face the monster, or you run like a bat out of heck out of there. And in Five Nights at Freddy's, you have no choice. You have to sit there in your chair and just sit there and take it like a man when an animatronic comes to bite your face off and stuff you in a suit. And so I really would think this is probably not the case, that you could actually go around, but it would be really cool to actually be able to roam around an entire amusement park, like that jump scare at the beginning. It's like, and then it jumps out, and you jump out of the room, you turn around, look back, and the animatronic chases after you. Go and run and hide in the amusement park areas. And so you just sitting there, like you could be sitting there with like a laptop or something, or a tablet probably. I mean, it's 2017. I'm sure they have something high tech by then. But they're sitting there. You're sitting there like checking the screen and all that, and you're sitting there like my buddy Eva Skip had a great idea. House of Mirrors. How crazy would that be to have to fight the animatronic in a house of mirrors. Like, you sit there and try and hit him, and it's just a mirror, and you're like, wait, and you turn around, and he's behind you coming, or he's coming at the side. And so I think it'd be really cool for an amusement park to actually be in this game. But, of course, I mean, this is just a stretch because, I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's is so limited, basically because you're in a seated position the whole game, and that's what makes it Five Nights at Freddy's and not Slender. So, this is a possibility, but it's a very slim possibility. And despite what Scott's post says, I'm moving on to the next point, by the way. Despite what Scott's post says, looking at the video, I really think the original four, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, maybe Foxy, are coming back in some way, shape, or form. Now, I know what you're going to say. Scott said himself there's only one animatronic. Well, I hate to tell you, but in every single game, there has always been a hidden character. In the first game, it was Golden Freddy. In the second game, it was the Puppet and Balloon Boy. Not to mention like Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie and all them that aren't really like legit animatronics. And not to mention the endoskeleton. But, I mean, and it's the same thing with this game. I mean, there could be enemies and animatronics that we've never even seen before, just like Balloon Boy and the Marionette in the second game, and Freddy, which was originally a glitch. I mean, Golden Freddy was originally a glitch in the first game. This could be the case for this game. Now, like I said, I think Foxy could come back because, I mean, pretty much, I mean, you just know they're going to come back. I honestly do, because if you look at the trailer, it's got Bonnie, I mean, it's got Chica, Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, and Bonnie. I'm trying to picture in my mind. Chica, Freddy, and Bonnie. And just as you're scrolling through the screen, Bonnie goes and looks at you like this. And so, obviously, there's a soul still in that animatronic, and they're still there. So, they're going to be there, honestly. And the reason I think Foxy could not be in is because in one of the pictures on Scott's Steam page, actually, not Freddy, Foxy has his head as basically kind of a lampshade cover in one of the lights on the ceiling. Now, Scott could take some inspiration from Five Nights at Treasure Island for this, which I'm going to hopefully get up soon on my channel. But if you know the game, you know Goofy actually attacks you with his head off. And so, Foxy could very well do the same thing. There's also a silhouette of an animatronic behind the new animatronic when it enters the room in the trailer. This could be Freddy. Could also be Golden Freddy. Some people thought it was the puppet or the marionette originally, but he's a bit too stocky for that. So it's probably one of the Freddys. Not Toy Freddy, because he's out of commission. Like I said, the toy characters are out of commission. They are not coming back because they're dismantled. Even Mangle is dismantled, so they pretty much have no chance of coming back. Plus, they're not one of the original 4 or 5, counting Golden Freddy. But like with Golden Freddy and Five Nights at Freddy's and Balloon Boy and the Marionette and Five Nights at Freddy's 2, there's always characters that are not found until after the game comes out. So, I mean, anything could happen. Like, honestly, Scott could do whatever the heck he wants with this. But I do honestly think that, you know, Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie are going to come back in some way. Whether they're, like, not even deadly threats, or they're just, like, hindrances, or, like, kind of like Donald does in Five Nights at Treasure Island, where he, like, just makes sound. Chica could do this. I mean, so I really think there's a lot of possibilities for the characters. Even if they're not actually in the game as enemies, they could be just, like, scattered around. Maybe, like, this, like, swing out and scare you and, like, distract you from the camera or something. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. Another idea. If this new animatronic, which looks a lot like a zombie bunny, basically everybody thought was Franken Bonnie, Golden Bonnie, something like that. Well, it's not really golden. It's like a dingy golden brown, but whatever. If this new animatronic is a combination and amalgamation of all the animatronics, the 5 originals, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy, the 3 toys, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, Mangle, Balloon Boy, the Marionette, then these souls could actually just kind of not just combine into one and just be in one body. They could also like form into a hive mind, almost like Legion in the Bible, bent on pretty much nothing but payback and death. So really, they could just be all that negative thought and anger and vengeance and all that just kind of just fuses them all into one crazy soul mind thing. I mean it's a video game. Anything can happen. So this could also explain the jump scare scream. Goodness, I can't even read a script, y'all. The jump scare scream of the animatronic, which pretty much sounds like something out of the pits of hell. You also see several elements of the new animatronic that could very well be from the old animatronics. Such, for example, Freddy's face, or it could be Chica's beakless face, because I'm sure old Chica could take off her beak if she wanted to, just like Toy Chica. Bonnie's ears, obviously. I mean, there's no other rabbit in the game. And Golden Freddy's skin, obviously, like, kind of stitched over, because Golden Freddy is a good bit bigger, I think. And it makes sense, because I think Chica is actually smaller than both Freddy's. So that would make sense. But, really, the idea of it, this could explain, I mean, talking about the Scream being kind of a hive mind thing, basically kind of like just crazy stuff. I mean, this could be explained by it's so different than the other animatronic Screams from the past few games. Because if you remember in the first game, besides Golden Freddy, because he was a glitch, the other 4 animatronics sounded like screaming children when they attacked you, because they were murdered children that possessed animatronics. In the second game, they sounded really like glitchy and technological, because they were animatronics that were not yet possessed. I mean, that could be arguable with the puppet, who was probably the first kid from the first murder, but you know, I mean, I'm just kind of just going with my different options here. And so this game could be very well completely different, because that scream is so horrifying and so different. I mean, listen to this. That is not human. That is nothing on this earth. I mean, it has almost like a hissing roar. So it could very well be a hive mind, pretty much. I actually have another theory I'm going to bring up in a couple minutes for possible stories for this game. But also, a good question to ask, if this is a combination of several animatronics, both of which are guys and girls, is this animatronic male or female? I mean, obviously, you would say it's a dude, because, I mean, just looking at it and just thinking how the majority of the male characters in the game already. But, I mean, you never know. And, I mean, this is the debate and the issue that we have with Mangle. I personally think Mangle's a girl. I mean, yeah, phone guy refers to it as a dude, but it is based on Foxy. So, it could very well be a girl. Hopefully it's not, unless it's like him from the Powerpuff Girls and it's just weird. But I actually do have a little fan theory I'm going to throw out there for this new character. I'm going to just kind of throw out that little fan name I came out with. Stitches the Bunny. Stitches the Bunny. I'm calling it right now. If this is actually what Scott calls it, I'm going to be just, like, geeking out. But, yeah, so, moving past what I think could happen, these are some possible storylines I have devised that could really take place in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or could be the reason for this game. First and foremost, it does deal with the murderer, of course, because the murderer, I mean, he will return. Obviously, I'll get that in a minute, hold on. So, the murderer this is just my first possible theory. I ramble a lot, even with the script. I apologize, y'all. If y'all would just bear with me, I'm just slow down and just try and just get this done. Okay, so first possible story for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. The murderer finally dies, or is killed, I'll get to that in a minute. And in death, he inhabits and possesses the zombified Frankenstein-like amalgamation of animatronics. So basically, it's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese meets Chucky, the movie doll, you know. So, ironically, he suffers the same fate as his victims, which is really, I mean, kind of, it's justified, but, I mean, it's just a cool idea. And he's constantly fighting to get out, trying to avoid the same fate as his victims, hence the twitching. I mean, when you sit there and look at him, he's sitting there doing like this. Obviously, that could be a soul trying to kick and punch its way out, or whatever a soul could do. But this could also be backed up by the trailer, because it says he will come back, and he always does, referencing how many times the murderer has struck, because this would be like the 4th or 5th time this guy has come back to Five Nights at Freddy's, or the Freddy establishment, corporation, franchise, whatever you want to call it, overall. So this guy just needs to get a life, just like get married, settle down, put the past behind him, give his heart to Jesus, and just do something else besides murder innocent children. But I mean, of course, people think he could be Freddy, but I honestly do think it's the murderer, because, yeah, I mean, of course Freddy's gonna come back. I mean, he's the animatronic, and plus, if this new animatronic is the only animatronic in the game, then Freddy isn't coming back, so the animatronic could, in fact, be the murderer coming back, like he always does. Like it says, we have a place for him. What better place than an animatronic like the animatronics that his victims are suffering in currently? I mean, this new animatronic would be such a fitting end in the eyes of his victims, as they would share his fate. This is where I kind of threw out that he was killed, because maybe he actually went back to the establishment while they were working on it, trying to just kind of snoop and stuff, and one of the animatronics was just like in a fit of rage, finally found his man and just straight up killed him in vengeance, and now he possessed it. Or he could have just died. I mean, because the guy is probably like 50, 60 years old now. He could have, I mean, anything could happen. I mean, life happens. He could have died easily in any way, shape, or form. Which there's no telling how old he is, because he was probably at least in his mid-20s, early 30s when he killed all these kids. I mean, he could have been a psychopathic, like, teenager and stuff. We don't know his age, so he could very well have died. He could have been killed. Maybe someone thought they recognized him as the murderer and went and just trying to stroke vengeance on their own, kind of like a vendetta, pretty much, just kind of a mercenary deal, I guess. But they just went up, just straight up killed him. The inhuman scream could very well reference his inhuman actions of murdering several children in cold blood. I mean, what kind of person does that? I mean, this guy's like the Chuck E. Cheese version of Adolf Hitler, pretty much. Just murdering innocent people. It's insane. And there's also a chance that if he does possess the new animatronic, and if the new animatronic actually does have all these souls in it from the combination of the other animatronics, this twitching and pulsating and all that could actually be all these souls fighting against him, and him fighting for control with the multiple souls of his victims. And basically, this could happen should the combining of the animatronics prove to plant all the souls in one host, this new Frankenstein-like animatronic. And so, yeah, this is just an idea. I mean, and I have plenty more. So, let's move on to the next theory. The murderer could have also, like I said, snuck in, but instead of getting just straight up murdered by animatronics, the animatronics didn't notice him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's a game, stuff happens. He could have tampered with the animatronic. Now, of course, this would have to be after hours. He'd have to sneak in when no one was there, when there was a guard off duty, when there was a guard asleep, when they were not working on it. He went in and tweaked his mechanisms and made it go haywire. Now, of course, this would mean this guy would have to have some serious knowledge of how animatronics work. This guy must have had to work at Disney World or Universal Studios or something. Or he's just been around animatronics all these years, just taking children out, and he's finally learned how these things work. And so he went and just screwed it up, and now it's on a murderous killing spree in the attraction gone wrong. And so, I mean, this is not as likely unless he's like a rocket scientist or at least an animatronic whiz. So, but I think it's kind of likely. I mean, I think it's a cool little idea. This next theory is probably like the least unlikely. I mean, knowing the constant cycle of kids getting murdered and possessing these animatronics, or just souls being in animatronics, period, there's a chance this probably is not true. It's a very, very slim chance this is actually true, but it's just a little theory I was coming up with. I came up with several on my own time. There's a demon that actually possesses the new animatronic, and I mean, because its cries, or whatever you want to call it, its roar, or jump scare, scream, whatever, it sounds like nothing on this earth that's human, like I already said. It sounds more feral, more wild, more animal-like, almost like if you have read the Bible, you know the story of Legion. I mean, this guy was out in the wilderness cutting himself, and just in constant agony, because he was filled with thousands of demons, pretty much. Well, he could have been filled up to 1,000 demons. I mean, Legion could be 1 to like 2,000, but 1 to 6. Anyway, more theology for another video. But I mean, like I said, it's more like a hissing roar, and with, like I said, with the animatronics sounding like kids in the first game, and with them sounding like actual machines in the second game, this could prove correct. Although, like I said, it's the least likely out of all these, so I'm going to move on. Here's one I actually thought was pretty cool, I gotta say. One of the people that was working on this new animatronic, pasting it together, stitching it together, fitting all these different parts together, but with the animatronics being like literally like 30, 40 years old now, like almost 50 years old, like these things are like half a century old. They're dinosaur animatronics. He could have hit a bad wire, they could have tampered with it, accidents happen, life happens, boom, animatronic in true 1987, by the 1987 style, just bites the person and kills them. So the person then would possess the animatronic, and like the murderer would be in this alternate scenario, would fight to get out, hence the sporadic twitching. This sets the mood for a haunted attraction gone horribly wrong, and it could also mean that this soul is trying to get your help to save them, which would make you much more sympathetic towards the person in this, and that really, if the other characters are in this game, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, if they're actually in this game, they could be the actual enemies, and this guy's trying to, sure, he's trying to come at you, but he's trying to ask you for help. Although it's probably just that he wants to bite your face off and murder you. So, this is very unlikely with, like, the whole good guy animatronic. I mean, it's a vengeful soul. Like, stuck in an animatronic, I mean, I'd be pretty upset too. So, yeah, I mean, the chance of, I mean, so we've gone over the murderer could be it, the murderer in a hive mind could be it, there's a demon, or there's someone that was working on this thing that was killed by it when it went faulty and has now possessed it. But I like this little theory I've got. It deals with the marionette, who, if you guys know anything about the lore of the game and all that, has supposedly been around since Fredbear's family diner when the murderer first struck and killed the first kid, and that kid possessed the puppet. So yeah, if you guys don't, I mean, I would watch game theorist videos on Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2 because he helped me out a ton with just kind of getting the background of the story. Or he might have his own fan theories. That might be the whole Fredbear's Family Diner. But yeah, there's been literally like 4 restaurants, y'all, and this will be like, well, this won't be a restaurant, but it'll be the 5th location. So yeah, the puppet, ironically in this theory, has pulled the string since the very beginning. Now, the very first restaurant, Fredbear's Family Diner, where this kid was murdered and supposedly possessed the marionette. This marionette soul could very well have just, I mean, because, I mean, it's a human soul now, not in the human body. I mean, this is a soul that could probably, I mean, I don't know how souls work. I mean, I don't claim to. This is a video game. Anything, any ideas could, like, just take place in, like, this thing's mind. I mean, just starts getting angrier and angrier, more vengeful, and just more bent on destruction and just death and rotting on people what has happened to itself. And so, yeah, the marionette would basically gain strength with each progressive game and each progressive restaurant, as basically it's almost like a symbiotic relationship where, yeah, the puppet gains strength as the murderer takes and kills innocent people. I mean, I don't think they're in cahoots, of course, but, I mean, why would the puppet be in cahoots with the one who murdered him? But basically, the marionette gains more strength in numbers as the body count rises and more animatronics become possessed. I mean, you look at the very first game. I mean, yeah, you got the puppet, but then you've got the main 4 along with Golden Freddy, and then you look at the second game, and he had so many more that were later possessed and stuff. And so, I mean, being a vengeful soul that's no longer a kid, the marionette could be very capable of reason and scheming and things like that. The marionette just so far has hidden in the shadows. I mean, until the second game, we didn't even know this guy existed. And even then, you wound this mystery box in mystery, and you're just like, what the heck is this thing? And if you were the unlucky son of a gun who actually forgot to wind the music box, you're do 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 do, and lo and behold, he greeted you with a jump scare. So really, the fact that he has been so shrouded in mystery and he's been shrouded in the shadows all these years in this game timeline really could point to the fact that he is basically just gaining strength and over time just devising just vengeful plans basically on anyone who dares to enter the restaurant, and he lets the animatronics do the dirty work for him. I mean, yeah, he would jump out as long as you keep him at bay, and unless he's like, okay, you forgot to wind the music box, I'm gonna kill you now. But the rest of the time, all these other animatronics are at his beck and call to go and just straight up murder anyone who's sitting there trying to keep guard over them at night. Because obviously, this puppet is not going to want opposition or to be controlled or basically kind of told what to do with you, the night guard, watching over them and basically keeping them in check with the flashlight, with the Freddy head and all that, and the doors in the first game. So it could very well be that he's just ticked off at you and he wants to just murder your face. So, for really, this game, the newest game, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, the marionette has not been seen so far. Like I said with Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, he could very well be in the shadows. He could not even be, I mean, we might get a teaser picture of him that Scott puts up. I mean, who knows? But could it be that this puppet sets in motion this abomination of an animatronic, and that this transforms it into that murderous thing of nightmares? Could the marionette actually be the one that tampers with it instead of the murderer? And could a simple haunted attraction character be turned into another Freddy Fazbear by the hand of the puppet? Really, that's the irony of this theory, that this whole time, the puppet that you have to control and just hold back is in fact pulling the strings and toying with you the whole time, and toying with all the animatronics. That's basically his little animatronic playground. Like, basically, this is like his little world of his dominion, and that through death, he has gained some kind of like otherworldly strength in numbers by other souls that have been tortured and just straight up murdered in cold blood by this guy, and they're all just gaining power, gaining strength, and if they come into fruition in the amalgamation of this new animatronic, then they gain even more power because their minds become just fused together in just hatred and wrath and rage and anger and vengeance. And I think the marionette could definitely play around with that a lot if he's in this next game. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this list. Just a lot of fan theories I have. I have literally killed like 24 minutes just talking about ideas that I have just thought up. I literally thought up with this on my way home from school one day. I had watched my buddy Evie Skeptile's reaction to Five Nights at Freddy's 3, the trailer, like I did, and I just started going on my head. I was like, what could happen? Could the puppet be in? Could the murderer be dead? Could it be a guy that was working on it? And all this stuff just started coming into my head. And I mean, normally I don't even think about stuff like this, but for a game this in depth and with the lore this thick, and with all the fan fictions, all the fan theories, all the stuff over YouTube, thanks to Markiplier, Game Theorist, PewDiePie, all these guys doing all these different videos, this is a big game. And obviously it's hyped for a reason, because hopefully it'll be the end to the trilogy of Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, it's good while it lasts. I think Scott needs to just take a break, maybe make some other scary games, make some cool games, because there was a game I saw on Steam, I forget the name of it, it's like robots and stuff, but it looks really cool, and I really think he needs to invest time into other stuff. Maybe go back to making some more Bible games, which is still ironic that a Christian guy made this crazy game. But really, Scott's an absolute genius, mental wizard at this, and just storytelling, and not only just telling a story, but not telling a story, leaving enough open rooms and opening tons of cans of worms for the entire fan base to just go and run with it and have their own thoughts and ideas on it, and just make literally hundreds of videos like I'm doing right now, just talking about possible outcomes for the games. So yeah, that's my idea for Five Nights at Freddy's 3. There's a lot that could happen in this game. I'm definitely excited to find it out. Unless it works with Camtasia, I probably won't be playing it. I do have like 10 bucks on my Steam card, so hopefully I may be buying it. If, like I said, if it works with Camtasia, I'll have to check if I have Camtasia by then, hopefully. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this game. Definitely looking forward to more updates on it. And it's probably coming out very, very soon, because Scott is just cranking these things out left and right. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely, like I said at the beginning of the video, leave your comments, leave your fan theories. I definitely am excited to hear other people's thoughts and opinions. Don't really go bashing mine, because like I'm not like a huge fan. I mean, this is just stuff some of it is kind of common sense. It kind of relates to the game. But I mean, if we disagree, I mean, it's just my opinion, it's just my ideas, it's just my theories. So, I mean, we can disagree. It's just a video game. I mean, come on. Same thing like I said in my Pokemon videos. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching. God bless. Stay tuned for plenty more videos. I've got tons of stuff coming. I've got Five Nights at Treasure Island. I've got the rest of Icarus Proud Bottom, and hopefully a compilation of that soon. I have Smash Bros. Battles. I got Pokemon battles. I got all kinds of stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. I'm just trying to organize my time wisely and not just upload it all in a week's time. Just trying to balance it out, just so you guys don't have a whole ton of just stuff to watch at one time. Just so I can get, you know, more views and more actual watches and stuff, and actually mean something, not just cram it all in 1 week, but kind of spread it out over time. So while I'm uploading stuff, I can actually be working on other stuff. So yeah, long spiel. God bless. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. Later, guys.